بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وصلى اللهم على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين. قال الله الحكيم في القرآن الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. صلوات. For the past few nights we have been talking about some of the theoretical aspects, but my hope is to talk more about the practical aspects of living a spiritually or mystically fulfilled life. Recite that salat, please. I had mentioned earlier on some of the advices that our maraji' have given with regards to living a mystically or a spiritually fulfilling life in this country or anywhere in the world for that matter. And the idea behind that was that all of mysticism or all of practical irfan-e-amali consists of obeying all the wajibat and avoiding all the muharramat. That's all it is. But now when we look at it, the question comes, how is it possible for a person in this country to actually obey all the wajibat and avoid all the muharramat? How is it possible? Because we are faced with numerous problems throughout our day-to-day lives, simple problems, sometimes more complex problems. So how is it that we live a spiritually fulfilling life in this country? We have to remember the advice of our maraji' is very practical advice. The advice that our maraji' give is something that is not to be taken lightly. The advice that Ayatollah Bashir Najafi gave us was an advice that his teachers gave him. And he said, with regards to living a spiritually fulfilling life in this country, make a list of everything you owe to everybody else and act on it. You see, when we talk about spirituality in Islam, it's not just a one-way relationship with God. There are aspects of Islamic spirituality that have to do with more of the social level of human existence. And as a matter of fact, this is what gains importance. This is what is really important. In his book called Hukumat Islami, Imam Khomeini, he talks about this idea. He says, look, first of all, when we look at the books of our scholars, when you look at the books of hadith, for example, 90% of the books of hadith are on social matters. 10% are on ibadat. Yet you look at the books of the scholars, 90% of their books are on salat or on just the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and 10% is just on social issues. But you see, that's the problem. Recite salawat, please. In the same book, Imam Khomeini is quoted to have said, for example, that at one time a Britisher heard the adhan, a British officer heard the call to prayer, and he says, what is this call to prayer? The response is that this is the Muslim adhan, it's a call to prayer for people to get together and pray together in jama'ah. He says, look, is this going to harm our governorship? He says, no, it's not. Then he says, go ahead, you can continue on your acts of worship. The idea is that if anything had come into conflict with what the government had to say, then it would have been banned. That's why when we look at it from the books of fiqh, that's the main reason why 90% of them are about ibadat, and then 10% of them are social justice issues. But you see, for us, social justice issues gain a heightened stance because we don't believe in just a religion that was revealed onto the Quran, that was revealed into the heart of Prophet Muhammad, that heart being Fatima Zahra, and that it finished after Prophet Muhammad left this world. We believe in a continuing religious tradition, and the fact of the matter is that Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, he is the crux around which this spiritual, social, political system revolves. He is the idea, the personality of Imam Mahdi. You know, some people say that Imam Mahdi in his Ghaibat al-Kubra, he is on a green island. But that's not the case. Because Imam Mahdi himself is the focal point of the construction of all of Shia society. He is the crucible around which our past, present, and future revolves. Why is it that he is the crucible between our past, present, and future? Look, simply put, when we say Assalamu alayka ya waritha Adam sifatullah, Assalamu alayka ya waritha Nuh nabiyullah, Assalamu alayka ya waritha Ibrahim khalilullah, Assalamu alayka ya waritha Musa kalimullah, Assalamu alayka ya waritha Isa ruhullah, all this salam to Imam Hussein, it's to make sure that we recognize that Imam Hussein was the continuation of the traditions of the previous prophets. Imam al-Hussein, look, the ziyarat is right there. We call on Imam Hussein with the relationship he has to all the prophets. Why is it that we call him that? If Imam al-Hussein has the stance that he is connected to the previous prophets, Imam al-Hujjah has a similar stance that he is connected to each and every single Imam, each and every single prophet before him. He is the present of our lives because he is physically alive. He is physically alive. Imam al-Hujjah, and I'll use this as a tangent a little bit, during his Ghaibat al-Kubra, nobody is allowed to tell people that they have met Imam Mahdi, except with the permission of the Imam himself. You see, it is such a sacred institution, the idea of Ghaibah, that only those who are really close to Imam can actually have contact with him. Our goal is that in our present, we should be such that Imam himself is proud of our past and our futures. Our goal is the idea that the government of Imam al-Mahdi is supposed to establish itself in this world, and we are supposed to be practical participants in the establishment of this divine government. Risalat salawat, please. Our goal is that when Imam al-Mahdi returns, we should be the first ones to say labbaik. Labbaik ya Hussein al-Zaman. Labbaik to the one who cries for Fatima Zahra. Labbaik to the one who sheds tears of blood twice every day for the suffering of Imam Hussein. But we have to look a little bit at this idea a little bit more in depth. You see, some critics of the idea of the ghaibah, first of all, the idea of the ghaibah is something that is present throughout the Islamic tradition. It's not just a Ja'fari thing. You see, in the Shia tradition, for example, and I'll give you an example. There's this book, I'm forgetting the name of the book, but it's by this man called Jasim Hussein or Jabir Hussein, something like that. And he talks about Mahdawiyat. He says, look, after every Imam passed away, there was a group of people that said that the previous Imam was the Mahdi and he is really in Ghaibah. to the extent that after Rasulullah passed away, there was a group that said Rasulullah is the Mahdi, and this is it. When Imam Ali passed away, when he gained Shahada, same thing happened. The main splits between Muslims have always been with regards to, or at least in the Shia world, have always been with regards to successorship. Some people said, for example, that after Imam Zain al-Abidin, because Imam Muhammad Baqir did not stand up against tyranny, that therefore he is not the Imam. Imam Zain al-Abidin's other son who stood up against oppression, Zayd ibn Ali, is the Imam. Right? Some people say that. This group becomes known as the Zaydiyya. There was another group that differed with regards to the 6th and 7th Imam. They became known as the Ismaili. Within the Zaydi tradition, there is a slight difference of belief with regards to their conception of Imamah and ours. We say our Imam has to be ma'asum, and that he has to be from the Husayni line. They say that it doesn't have to be the case for an Imam to be ma'asum, that he is Imam, and he can be both from the Husaynid line or the Hasanid line. The condition is, as long as he rises up against injustice, he is Imam. And this idea of the Ithna Ashar, the 12er, was a minority throughout history, except in more recent times, especially with regards to when it came to the Safavid sponsorship of Shia Islam in Iran. That's when it gained a lot of strength. And we have to realize why it gained a lot of strength. Because you look at Iraq and Iran, and they've always put an emphasis on the religious institutions known as Hawzatul Ilmiyyah. Hawzatul Ilmiyyah. They put institutions intact that made the Marajit themselves. And we have to be responsible to the Marajit, because they are our living representatives to Imam Mahdi. Recite one more salawat, please. When we look at the tragedy of Karbala, as was recited in the Sos Khani and the Marsiya Khani, we look at the idea that Imam al-Hussein put in place a system whereby everyone can live by the system. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what ethnicity you belong to, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, whatever religion you are. But what it really comes down to is your heart. And I want to focus on two children tonight. Two children tonight, Aun and Muhammad. Aun and Muhammad. You know what their story is? When Imam al-Hussein was leaving Medina, Hazrat Zainab's husband was sick. He could not go. So he said, take these two children on my behalf. These two children. These two children were the embodiment of Ja'far al-Tayyar, their grandfather. They were the embodiment of Abdullah ibn Ja'far. They were the product of the teachings of Sayyida Zainab. These two children, on the day of Ashura, they keep on asking Imam al-Hussein for permission to fight. Yesterday I recounted the story of Qasim, Farwa's son. Today I recount to you the stories of Aun and Muhammad. It is said that Lady Zainab, on the night of Ashura, on the night of Shab Ashur, she gathers her children together. All the mothers are gathering their children together. They're telling them, listen, tomorrow is going to be the final fight. Tomorrow I don't want you to make me shameful. Make me proud on the day of Ashura. Lady Zainab says something even more specific and even more heart-wrenching. She says, look, tomorrow you're going to go fight. Remember that you are going to go by that river Furat. Remember that you are thirsty, but don't drink any water, because you should remember that if you get any water, the children of Imam al-Hussein are thirsty. The children of Imam al-Hussein are thirsty. On the day of Ashura, it is said that Ali Muhammad went and fought. Their bodies, they fought so far away that their bodies could not be brought back to the Khaymagah. When Imam al-Hussein came to these Awn and Muhammad, when they had passed away, when they had breathed their last, they were buried right where they lay. Why? Because it was too fast for them. It was too hard for them. I also want to talk to you about another companion. I want to talk to you about a companion of Imam al-Hussein. Tonight I want to talk to you about that companion who made that decision to join Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the night of Shab Ashur. What happens? Har is contemplating on the night of Shab Ashur. He says, look, he's thinking, he's contemplating. His son comes up to them. They can hear the cries of Al-Atash in Yazid's camp. His son comes up to him and says, Father, these children are innocent. Why haven't they gotten any water? Al-Har makes a decision that night that he is to join Abu Abdullah al-Hussein tomorrow to go fight. He goes and he joins Imam al-Hussein's army. He asks permission to go fight. You know what happens to him? First he sends his son to go fight. Al-Har's son fights very bravely. He falls from his horse. He calls to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Al-Har rushes to his son's body, but when he gets there, he notices Imam al-Hussein is right there. He says, Aqa Mawla, you're at my son's body? Imam al-Hussein says, oh Har, an elderly father should never have to pick up the body of his youthful son ever. I ask you, Har, today you are here seeing Imam al-Hussein by your son's side. Where are you going to be, Har? When Ali al-Akbar falls and there is no one to help Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein goes to the battlefield and picks up the body of his son Ali al-Akbar. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.